Hello and welcome to the CDCS participant training. My name is Jennifer Madigan and I am the CDCS coordinator with Ramsey County. This training will give you lots of information about CDCS, which is a consumer-directed service for individuals using waivered services. You may be listening because you or someone you support uses CDCS now, or maybe you are hoping to use it in the future. Either way, hopefully this training will prepare you to be successful with the program. To understand what CDCS is, we must first understand what a waiver is. A waiver and alternative care program, they provide home and community-based services to meet the needs of people with disabilities and older adults. They allow services to be provided in the home instead of an institution or group setting. Waivers include the DD waiver, CADDY waiver, CAC, BI, and elderly waiver. The AC program is similar, but it's for individuals that are not on MA. The Min Choices assessor assesses eligibility for these waiver programs. If you're currently using licensed supports under the waiver, you hire support from licensed agencies to come into your home and provide that support. CDCS, the way CDCS works is that it's a service option under all of the waivers that offers people more flexibility. It gives them the responsibility of directing their own services and supports. It could include unlicensed support, like direct care staff that's chosen by the participant, and services and items that are not available when you're using licensed services. Licensed services and MA home care services can be used with CDCS as well, but to be able to use unlicensed support and to get some items that are not typically covered by the waivers is the reason why CDCS is so appealing to people. CDCS allows individuals to purchase services that will best meet their needs from people that they trust. So it's a really person-centered program. In order to use CDCS, participants have to write a plan, and that plan needs to include what services are needed and the goals that will be achieved. That plan has to outline how will CDCS enable the person to lead a really inclusive life, to build a great network of support, and it has to include outcomes specified by the person and or their legal representative. Budgets. The budgets for CCB and DD waivers, those are set by the state and they're generated by the Min Choices assessment. So your case manager can get those budgets from the coordinator. The budgets for AC and EW, those are based on the case mix. And the case mix is also on the assessment that is done by the Min Choices assessor. And your case manager So who is eligible for CDCS? In order to be eligible, you have to meet the criteria here on this slide. First, you have to have medical assistance based on your disability. You obviously have to have a waiver. If you've been convicted of fraud in the past, right now you're placed on a restricted medical assistance program and you're on restricted MA. And if you're on that program, you can't be on CDCS. You can't have a child or adult protection case open, and this is because in Ramsey County, when we look at CDCS, we really need things to be stable, since so much of this is really run by the managing party or participant themselves. And you also cannot be residing in a licensed facility or using foster care. So really, anyone who meets the eligibility criteria that we just discussed in the previous slide is able to use CDCS. We see CDCS across all the different waivers, all ages, and all abilities. It really just depends on the person and whether or not they feel CDCS is the right option for them. One of the biggest factors in determining whether or not CDCS is right for you or the person you're supporting is what can be covered. What can CDCS cover? What would my services look like if I were to choose CDCS? And these are just some examples of goods and services that are available or approvable under CDCS. There's ads in paper to hire staff. There are classes and trainings for caregivers and the person themselves, extra laundry costs if applicable, fitness programs for those that are older than 18 years old. The list really goes on, and there's another slide here in a second that will show you some more examples as well. Here are some more examples. Paid parent or paid spouse, that's a big one. As you all know, a parent or spouse cannot provide PCA services to a minor child, and the CDCS program allows parents and spouses to be paid to care for their loved ones. So that's a big reason why people choose CDCS. Home mods, therapies that aren't covered by medical assistance, social skills classes, there's just a ton of different things that are available under CDCS or that can be covered under CDCS. It's really important, however, to keep in mind that just because you see something on these lists, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be approved for everyone. So each individual, as you know, has different needs based on their disability. So if you don't have a need for a service, then it wouldn't be approved. So for example, if you don't have a need based on your disability to get music therapy, then music therapy is not allowable for you. When you decide to use CDCS, there are several people involved in your team. We'll start with the assessor. The assessor, they are basically assessing eligibility for the waiver, obviously, and the assessment sets the CDCS budget. So if the assessor does a DD screening document, those codes that are put on that document, they're run through a system and that generates a budget. And that is, again, just for CCB and DD, whereas ACEW, those are based on case mix, and there's a document that you can look at to determine the budget. But anyway, it's important to know that the assessor is going to be determining eligibility each year or redetermining eligibility each year for the waiver, and that for CCB and DD, that their budget is directly affected by that assessment. The participant is the person receiving the services. The managing party is the person who manages the services, and that could be the participant, it could be the guardian, it could be the parent, etc. So basically, whoever is managing the services, so the participant and the managing party, that could be the same person if the person is able to direct their own care. The case manager, obviously, is the person who provides you with your Ramsey County case management. They help you set up CDCS and so on and so forth. The fiscal agency, or the FMS, that's the agency that manages the budget. They pay payroll, they reimburse for items on the plan, they bill MA for all the services that are rendered. They do all the hiring of the staff, all the background checks and that sort of thing. And finally, the support planner. So a support planner is a person who is certified by DHS to help people with writing their plans and making any changes throughout the year if changes are needed. So those are the key players with CDCS. Now we're going to discuss each role a little bit more comprehensively. So first we'll discuss the role of the participant or the managing party. When you sign a participation agreement on the CDCS plan, you're agreeing to the following per your role as the managing party. So basically, you're saying, I will develop a person-centered plan to assist with improving, developing, acquiring skills. I'm only going to purchase things that have been approved in the plan. I'm going to make sure that this person is healthy and safe. I'm going to meet with my case manager semi-annually, send my plan in on time, send in addendums for changes. I'm not going to overspend in any category. I'll work with the FMS. I'll review my spending summaries, and I'll sign my time cards. So those are just some of the things you're agreeing to, and I believe there's several more on the next slide too. So as a managing party or participant, you are also agreeing to not submit addendums within the last 30 days. This is because it really is difficult to review and approve addendums. We have, as a lead agency, 30 days to review. It usually doesn't take that long. But if you were to submit an addendum, maybe let's just say it's the last week of the plan, but we needed more information and it took you a while to get that information, and then pretty soon we're into the next budget plan or the next waiver span, and now we can't purchase that item. So we really need to have addendums submitted before the last 30 days of the plan, except for really critical health and safety needs, basically. So there are exceptions to that, but that is the basic rule of thumb. You're agreeing to assume responsibility for your unlicensed staffing, for the training of that staff, and monitoring the staff and that sort of thing. And then for notifying your case manager when you're hospitalized so that we can stop services or make sure that you're not using services. When someone goes into the hospital, waivered services need to stop because the hospital then is billing for services, and it's considered double dipping. So in addition, paid parents of minors or spouses, they have responsibilities as well. They cannot exceed the hours approved in the plan. They have to understand that any income that they're receiving from paid parent of minor or paid spouse has to be reported. So if they're getting SSI, if they're getting food support, if they're getting cash assistance, all of those programs where you need to report your income, though your income needs to be reported just as any other job. And they need to understand that salary earned could affect your MA copay, and it could affect your eligibility for other income-based programs. So you just need to have that understanding and talk with financial workers and people at Social Security and things like that to find out how it will affect those benefits. Your case manager has a really important role in helping you determine if CDCS is the best option for you. In addition, your case manager provides you with training and guidance to open and maintain CDCS. They help you identify what can be in your plan based on the assessment. They provide you with your CDCS budget. Once the plan is written, they review it and obtain approval for that plan. They provide you with resource information and assistance as usual. They review your plan and get the approval. They monitor health and safety, whether or not that plan is appropriate. They are also responsible for watching the spending. So just like the managing party or participant is responsible for that, so is the case manager. They're required to look at those spending summaries quarterly. And of course, they're responsible for carrying out case management per the waiver program. Now we'll discuss the support planner. Support planner role was developed because DHS decided that because this is consumer driven, case managers are not allowed to write the plan. Participants need to write the plans, but some people need or want help to do this. So this support planner role was developed, and basically they have a certification from DHS. They facilitate the development of the plan as directed by you, the participant or managing party, and they monitor and assist with revisions or changes as needed throughout the year. So in my opinion, and in the opinions of many people that I talk to, a lot of parents and loved ones that use, and participants themselves that use support planners, they're really worth their weight in gold. When you have a child or a spouse or a loved one with a significant disability, or you yourself have a significant disability, a lot of times writing the plan and getting the needed documentation to get something approved and kind of managing the budget and all that, it can be a little overwhelming, and especially at first. And so I highly recommend a support planner, at least for the first year. After that first year, you probably want to keep them because they, like I said, they're just so valuable. But of course, you can write your own plan, and you certainly should not feel that you can't do that. What does a support planner not do? They're not there to monitor the spending. That's the participant's job, or the managing party. They're not responsible for how the plan is implemented or training staff or anything like that. And they're not there to supervise time. Those things are basically on the shoulders of the participant or the managing party. The role of the Fiscal Management Services Provider, or FMS, is as follows. They do all the background checks and hiring of staff. They handle the payroll. They bill medical assistance for all of the services and supports under CDCS. They budget or do the budgets and reports for the services and items on the plan. And they monitor the spending, and they send those monthly expense summaries to the participant and the case manager. Once you've determined that CDCS is the right program for you, this is the process to get started. Your case manager will review an orientation packet with you that includes all the documents that you need to get a CDCS plan written and approved, CDCS policies and procedures, how to pick an FMS, how to pick a support planner, all of that. Then they're going to check the eligibility for CDCS. Remember, we talked about the 5 different things that eligibility requirements that need to be met to make sure that you're eligible. They're going to get a budget from the CDCS coordinator. The participant or managing party needs to attend a CDCS training, as you're doing now. You also need to choose then a fiscal management service provider, or FMS, and a support planner. And as I said before, there are documents in that orientation folder to assist you with doing that. Then the participant and support planner writes the plan. They submit it to the case manager, who reviews it, then submits it to the coordinator for approval. And once it's approved, the case manager will then submit the service agreement. And it's really important, I'm just going to say this now, that participants and managing parties do not start services until the services are approved. We cannot go retroactive. This slide just gives you an idea of the CDCS renewal process. So it just kind of shows you each year how the whole process works. The Min Choices Assessment occurs 2 months prior to your renewal date. The annual meeting with the case manager is about 1 month before your renewal date. Number 2, if you could see on arrow number 2, the allocation or budget amount is received, and that's received about the 2nd week prior to the month the plan starts. That's so confusing. These are automatically sent to your case manager by the 12th of the month. The managing party then meets with the support planner to write the plan, and they submit the plan to the case manager, who reviews and submits to their supervisor. Once the plan is approved, that plan is sent back to you, to the FMS and the support planner. You check the pens and denials. You see, make sure that there's not more information needed or nothing has been denied. And then you review the budget summary that is then sent to you by the FMS, just to make sure that everything is correct. And so that's just sort of the flow each year when you're on CDCS, how that looks. So that concludes this CDCS training for participants. If you have additional questions about CDCS or to talk to someone about getting started with CDCS, contact your case manager. I also included my phone number, my supervisor's phone number, and email addresses here on this training. However, if you could start with your case manager, that would be best. There are a lot of CDCS participants in Ramsey County. So start with your case manager, but I certainly am available as well. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.